York to Chicago to Burbank. Welcome to the stage, Nora Nagatani.
Hi everyone, my name is Nora. I am 28 days fresh out of the psych ward. And for those of you who don't know me, well, strap in. Because I'm about to tell you a completely true, absolutely ridiculous story about how it happened. It's the third time it's happened, same problem. I have a Truman Show delusion. It's a real delusion. It's not in the DSM, but it's enough people have gotten it. And you think, if you haven't seen the Truman Show, he thinks everything is being filmed right around him, and everyone is in on it. Like there's characters cast in, like as his friends and stuff. And since I live in Los Angeles, all my friends happen to be actors, so that did not work in my favor. In 2017 or in 2019. It first happened in 2017, and now it's not just something that's like spawned on. It's just I don't like, oh, I think I'm having an episode now. No, it's spawned on by lack of sleep, and I don't like to point the finger of blame at Frank and Linda Nagatani, but it happens around whenever my parents come and visit. Because I was also diagnosed with PTSD. Thank you, Mom and Dad. My parents are wonderful now. I'm just saying, you know, you don't always do the right things when you're growing up. Okay, moving on. So when this happened in 2017, I was fully committed to this. I thought that I was in a show, and I showed up at a small production studio on Sunset Boulevard. And I was like, in my PJs, this is true, in my PJs, and I was like, guys, look, it's me, yes, I know. I need my trailer because I need a nap at this point, and can a PA please bring me a PB&J because I'm starving. And they did not know what to do with me, so they did the next best thing, and they called the LAPD. The LAPD shows up, okay? And again, this can only happen in Los Angeles because there's 4 cops that show up, and they're all beautiful and ethnically diverse. And I was like, casting went overboard with you guys. This is There was an Asian guy, his last name was Chang, I'll never forget it, and I was like, that's a little too on the nose. There's a 6'4", beautiful black man. There was a man that looked like he was cut out, this was a white guy, he looked like he was cut out of like a Calvin Klein advertisement. And then there was this guy named John who was thrown in for realism, which I told him. And he did not appreciate it. So I'm in cuffs at this point, just shooting the shit with these cops, and we're having a great time. They're giggling, they're like, do John next, do John. And like I said, I did John, and I said what I said. And so after about 30 minutes of this back and forth, I'm in cuffs still. They're like, well, they came to the consensus that I'm not a threat to myself or to others, so they can't technically arrest me, but the general consensus was that I was very annoying. It gets better. So right around this time, my real talent manager, Brenda Fisher, who is still my manager to this day, happened to be calling my phone because I was missing a real audition for a Verizon wireless commercial. I was missing it that day, and she called, and the cops answered the phone, and they tell her what's going on. So my manager now shows up to this production studio. I'm still thinking this is my own show, and I'm like, Brenda, thank God you're here. We need to negotiate my rates. I am non-union. I expect to be Taft-Hartley'd in right now, and I should be paid on a SAG scale because this is a 24/7. This 24/7 like cycle, filming cycle is exhausting me. Can we talk about a body double, perhaps? I was very reasonable about all my demands. So Brenda came, and then she took me in. That was the first time. The second time it happened, once again, last month my parents were visiting. I was losing sleep, and it happened, and it started happening again, and I'm thinking, okay, in 2017 it wasn't real. But in 2019, it's definitely happening for real. And now I'm rehearsed. I've spent 2.5 years method acting this character of Nora Nagatani, and now I'm ready to play her for real. And I thought the Glendale Galleria and the Americana were the set, so since I lived there, basically. So I was always just hopping around, but then I started to get irritated because I realized as my rights, I hadn't signed a consent form and I wasn't being paid yet. So I get into an Ubering to the Americana, and he had a GoPro on his thing, and I said, "Excuse me, Joseph H?" which was his Uber name. I was like, "Joseph H, am I being filmed right now without my consent?" I went Aaron Brockovich on his ass. And he couldn't answer me directly, and I was like, "Joseph H, am I being filmed without my consent? As a private citizen, that is illegal, and I'm gonna have to call the police if you can't give me an answer." And he couldn't give me an answer, and so we pulled over, and I calmly said, "Joseph H, I'm sorry, I'm gonna have to call the police." And so the police show up, and they were not as cool as my 2017 because they ended up arresting me and taking me into the psych ward. I was arrested though, for real, went to jail, and then went to the psych ward. And again, this time I knew my rights as the star, so I was like, okay, fine, I'm getting my own private room. I'm gonna put a pin in that for a moment and discuss my masturbation habits because you need that for the next part of the story. I am a novice masturbator, you can say. I didn't masturbate until I was 22 years old. I was on my friend's couch in New York City, and I did it to online pornography, and then we all celebrated the next day. Me, Amy, Melissa, and Michelle all bought 40s and celebrated to commemorate this event because it was a big deal and everyone knew I hadn't masturbated yet. And lo and behold, I did that day. So it's only been 9 years, and I need online porn in order to masturbate, which was a problem because guess what they don't allow in the psych ward? I told this to the Glendale Adventist nurses, and they got a very big kick out of it, which is why I knew this could kill with a real crowd. I'm like, I'm killing it here with these nurses. They thought this was a hilarious predicament, and they're like, what should we do? Just give her more trazodone. I was like, I can't sleep because I can't masturbate, but okay. Luckily, I have a very caring and compassionate friend that was up here earlier. Her name is Marissa Rivera, and she brought me some erotic novels to the psych ward. She brought me an erotic novel, and she's like, girl, this will change your masturbation game. And she also brought me a very tasteful erotic photography coffee table book, which I saved. Neither one worked, unfortunately, so I donated the novel to the psych ward so somebody maybe with my same predicament would be able to get some use out of it. That's all my time for now. I would like to announce I would like to announce my hour-long special on Netflix, Delusional, will be coming out in the future. And our next hilarious comic, I didn't want to mess up her intro because it's so well written. You'll know her if you have access to unaired pilots or AT&T industrial videos. Jackie on Private.